Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ruckus from Ruckus and The Menace Sports podcast. We decided to axe the high heat for this week because we had more things to do with the Super Bowl. So if you notice that the high heat is gone, that is why. That is all. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
This is the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
This episode where we got a 33 and a third chance of winning. We'll begin in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and the Menace Sports podcast. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus and The Menace, and we are on episode number 87
Wait, isn't this
of the Ruckus and The Menace Sports podcast.
Aren't I odd?
Yes, I just said it. We are on episode number 87. You can,
All right, let's roll this shit back.
you can just continue on. Like, you can continue on from where I was at. I didn't go too far off of the beaten path.
All right, let's go. Come on, count me down.
Starting again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And this episode is a very special one, as it is Super Bowl coverage week, and also the Super Bowl stuff. We're gonna be going into the NBA with the starting lineup and some baseball moves and what have you. Then we'll go to our Eastwood segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then we'll go right into the film room, where we have a lot of Super Bowl predictions, and we still are going strong with our fantasy playoff challenge. And then we have our season grades per team for the NFL. And then our color commentary, which involves certain Super Bowl related stuff. Surprise, surprise. And then our stud and dud. So, Spennis, what do you want to do first?
It's episode number 87, although we definitely could very well say that this is very much a Travis Kelce type of episode. We're not going to go too far into talking about the Big Yeti yet.
The Kelce Bowl was last year. Calm down.
Travis still in the Super Bowl, though. But where was Jason in all this? Jason ended up at the Pro Bowl games, where the NFC beat the AFC in the Pro Bowl games after stuffing a play on 4th and goal. Eli ended up beating Peyton again when it came to the Pro Bowl games. I guess we need the Chiefs to be out of the playoffs in order for Peyton to stand a chance in the Pro Bowl games.
You take those fine words back, boy.
No. No. Or actually, I should do this more in a Dr. Evil style. How about no?
Oh, also, by the way, during this recording, I do sound a little nasally, but everything is okay. All right, let's keep going.
Or is it okay? I'm kidding.
Hey, bitch, no! Alright, let's get back into this.
I just said, or am I? I just said, or am I? But that was not the point. But World Cup 2026, in 2 years, this side of the world is going to be hosting the biggest soccer tournament in really international time. I mean, you would have the Olympics, which we get in 2028. But 2026, the World Cup, some of soccer's greatest stars are going to be playing here. But the ones that make it all the way to the final, we now know where they will be playing. And that will be at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Where does the U.S. men's national team kick off their World Cup? Los Angeles, California at SoFi Stadium. World Cup groupings, I believe, have already been announced, and I think I've mentioned them in a much earlier episode, I believe.
I honestly don't remember.
But for that, it is way too far out for this because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 years. But they have at least hammered down a lot of the locales that will be used for the stadiums that will be hosting. And I believe, if I remember this correctly, it is throughout all of a good amount of the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I thought the final was going to be at Azteca, but they actually gave it to the United States. The NBA has made a decision to go with a glass-like court with LED lights for All-Star Saturday night events.
So when you say that, is it kind of like a ceramic panel that is replacing?
It's probably
going
to be some sort of. It's probably going to be some sort of panel that if you bounce a basketball on it, it's not going to break.
I mean, as long as it's functional and it doesn't suck.
It says NBA is going glass. It's using an interactive LED glass.
Oh, that'll be
court.
sick.
So here's how this is going to work. The league isn't done with innovative on-court design. As we saw from the shuttlecock games. The in-season tournament, not the shuttlecock games. We called it the shuttlecock games, but it was the in-season tournament.
I mean, the damn trophy looks like a shuttlecock.
Yes. But on Friday and Saturday of the 2024 All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis, the league will use an LED court designed by German company ASB Glass Floor. The court will display all sorts of visuals, including live replays, real-time stats, player tracking graphics, and animations that punctuate key moments during the All-Star Saturday night and All-Star Celebrity Game at Lucas Oil Stadium.
That'd be sick. Like, I'm just imagining the 3-point shootout, like, maybe they have a trail on the ball where it, like, where it predicts it, or, like, for the dunk contest, whenever they're jumping around, it's almost like a panel. Like, right now, in my brain, I'm thinking of, like, those DJ panels that you could get where you press the buttons and they glow certain colors. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, here's what they said. It said, during the 3-point competition, for instance, when a player is shooting on one side of the court, on the other side, the court will have interactive graphics, stats, and whatnot. Things you would normally see on the Jumbotron can now appear on the floor alongside the live action. The technology will be used this way for the dunk contest, the skills challenge, and the shootout between Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, which that is now officially on. When she said, hey, I want to shoot from the NBA line, we were like, that's fine. We can put the line anywhere you want it.
Dude, it sounds like a plasma, but in the glass-like surface, pretty much.
Yeah, the hard part is that it keeps the action on the floor, but I think the floor could be borderline distracting. That could be the only small little turnoff to it.
I mean,
but
borderline distracting is a stretch, dog. I would say the fans are more of a borderline distraction than anything else. I mean,
that too, but I was saying that the floor could be borderline distracting for a fan who's wanting to actually watch good ball movement for basketball. But also in the NBA, what is that concept anymore? I mean, if you're wanting to watch good ball movement for basketball, unfortunately, you're going to have to go back to the collegiate level. Yep. And even then, you actually would probably want to be just simply saving a few more of your pennies and going to your local high school for some good ball movement without a shot clock.
That's for sure.
Or depending on the state you're in.
Yeah,
but it says
ours didn't have a shot clock either. But yeah.
But
go
it
ahead.
says some players in the celebrity game will wear a connection tracking device that will allow them to interact with the court. So these players can be highlighted the same way that a user control players are highlighted in NBA 2K. But that graphic that's underneath them could be anything we can imagine. Or can we imagine, right? It could be a flame trail, it could be a star, a circle, the person's name, the number, anything that we want it to be. The technology will allow for obstacles on the court that move when tracked players touch them. So there's a bunch of really, really weird things that they can do with this now. And it says it's a 4-panel mini court that's been set, or at least they built a 4-panel one that's set up in New Jersey so they can kind of test some things. The surface of the court is 2 layers of safety glass, each 5 millimeters thick, laminated together. It's not like looking out your window and you could see through it. It's actually opaque, but it allows the LED to shine through. And then burned into the glass are ceramic dots, and they're sort of spaced to provide grip and friction similar to what you would see on a wood floor with an oil or water-based finish, whatever it may be. And so those panels fall in with the LED lights below them, and then a special silicone is put on the edges to seal it in. Below that, aluminum belts are there to provide support. So how is this floor to a maple floor in terms of how the ball bounces? It says exact, if not extremely similar. So it shows a lot more of like what this really could be about and what the future of maybe a basketball game in the NBA could look like. But honestly, it is like expensive. Like that is expensive stuff. And for baseball moves, switching. Yes, Ruckus, that is correct there. So you're not.
What do you mean?
Did it-
The MLB The Show. So
Yeah, it wasn't MLB The Show back then. It wasn't MLB The Show back then.
then
When-
was it 2K?
No, it was 989. Well, let's talk about the actual story before we go into it, and that is that Vlad Jr. is the cover athlete for MLB The Show 24. 18 years ago, his father graced the cover of a Sony San Diego Studios release and actually back then I believe it was 989 Sports still at that point. Well, it was actually even MLB 06 the show to a perspective, but it was that it wasn't that even though it was David Ortiz, there also was MLB 2006, which was the PlayStation 2 version that had Vladimir Guerrero on the cover.
That's why I was like, wait, if he's talking about the show 06, I was like,
That was Ortiz.
Yeah,
that was Ortiz.
I was like, I remember buying that in a Best Buy, or not Best Buy, in a Blockbuster when I was trading in games to a Blockbuster. Yeah, I just dated myself.
Yes, so it was actually, I think, kind of right around that transition point that it looks like what it says is that MLB 06 was actually that Vlad Sr. was coming off of his MVP season for the Angels in 2004 when he was featured on the cover of MLB 2006, which actually was the 2005 season. So it actually is 19 years. The next year, the game transformed to MLB 06 the show, which David Ortiz was on the cover.
All right. Okay. Yeah,
so that is what. So it actually was the 2005 season.
I was just trying to do damage control because I thought you were going to make an oopsie, but thank you for clearing
No, it wasn't the show. It wasn't the show. I actually understood the assignment on that.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to do the curse
Yep.
reverser.
Well,
first.
we have the MLB curse reverser,
Say
Theo
that 5
Epstein.
times.
MLB curse reverser, MLB curse reverser, MLB curse reverser, MLB curse reverser, MLB curse reverser.
Thank you.
Theo Epstein is now rejoining the Boston Red Sox, who he ultimately, the first curse he reversed, the curse of the Bambino, and then 12 years later ultimately reversed the curse of the Billy Goat. That is why I revere him as the MLB curse reverser. And he will be a senior advisor to Craig Breslow, the GM, the main person on the front office. So I think we're gonna get some sound moves coming up in Beantown, where some dirty water and doing damage are gonna get done.
Get some people over at Fenway Park.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that fan base is so rabid over there. Like, and you realize that Boston Red Sox fans travel well.
Yep. I remember going to a Royals game when Mookie was still a Red Sox, and my dad had seats from his work at the time. And we were sitting on the third base side, and right in front of us were some Red Sox fans.
Oh, yeah, but especially when you go on the East Coast.
Dude, and at the behind us, every time Mookie was at the on deck circle, you'd hear Mookie, Mookie, and that's why I make the Mookie chant whenever we talk about Mookie, because I just think it's funny.
Yeah, but what is, especially on the East Coast, if you're in DC or you're in Baltimore, Red Sox fans will travel incredibly well, to the point that sometimes you end up with more of them, as in Red Sox fans, than you do your own home fan base, just because they're close by enough that people want to go see them. That is why they are a premier. That is why they're a premier ticket, and prices for them are marked up compared to some of the other teams that are in Major League Baseball.
Yankees suck.
As a Red Sox fan, I say amen to that.
All right.
But now we go from talking about my team in this case to now we put something on about yours.
All right. So this came out this afternoon.
I think just earlier today, yeah.
Bobby Witt Jr. agrees to an 11-year, $288.8 million deal with the Kansas City Royals as an extension. Technically, it's a 14-year deal, but I'll get to that in a second. Shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals are in agreement on a contract extension. Witt, 23, who is entering his third Major League season, was one of the best players in baseball last year, prompting the Royals to lavish upon him a deal that includes super money with flexibility as well. The contract will allow Witt to opt out after the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th years, sources said. It also includes a club option after the 11th season that would tack on 3 years and $89 million to the contract, giving it a $14,377 million ceiling. Shit. The deal, which begins a monumental week for Kansas City sports, that will end with the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl. I think this was a good signing. Hopefully he sticks to it. I think this was a better signing than the Wander Franco one that the Rays did a couple of years ago.
And then here's how the numbers of how this plays out. This year, Bobby Witt Jr. is only set to make $2 million. That $2 million goes up to $7 million next year, $13 million in 2026, $19 million in 2027, $30 million in 2028. Then it maxes out at $35 million at 2029. So it is a
Are you looking at
gradually
Sport Track
peaking.
for this?
Oh, I'm looking at the a tweet from Mark Feinsand.
Okay, I was looking at Sport Track. You're good.
Yeah. So it goes up to $35 million at 2029. So his first option year is You said after year 7. It looks like it says year 8's the first option.
According
Year
to this
8's the first
ESPN
option. Year
article,
9.
it's
Yeah, he has the options set for year
after
8,
the
9,
7th
10, and 11.
after the 7th year. So yes, 8th.
Yep. Yeah, so it's his option years are 8, 9, 10, and 11. But then, if he goes through that, the club option is 3 years, 89 million on top of that, of which if he does not opt out at that point, it becomes a 33, a 28, and a 28 after that. So it is truly a deal that is there for a franchise deal. Great deal for a smaller market team. Bobby Wood is still young, so with him only being this is age 23 or age 24 season.
He'll be 20.
When does he turn 24?
Bobby Witt. Currently he's
Bobby
23, but he is born in 2000.
Okay, so he'll turn 24 in June. He'll turn 24 in June,
Which is like
so
halfway
this
through the
is
season.
yeah, so I think this is probably truly his age 24 season. So he goes from 24 to 34. So it's 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. It allows him to opt out at 30 to find another deal, or play through his 4 options and then be able to have either three more for 35, 36, and 37, or even then, if the club chooses not to take him, 35, an age 35 deal that might be much smaller may end up becoming a thing. It looks like it's very favorable to both sides in a way.
Yeah, and back in the day, so I'm gonna go over a couple more of these. The second player in Royals history for a highest paid was Alex Gordon, 4 years, 72, and then the second or third highest was Ian Kennedy, 5 years, 70, and then the very famous Gil Mesh, 5 years, 55, back in 2006.
But this is probably the first major time in Royals history where they have had a homegrown talent as young as he is and want to keep him long term. I think this is the first one that they felt super confident about it. And that is why I think they made that decision.
Yeah, and like I don't even remember if Hunter Dozier's even still under contract, but like a couple years ago, Hunter Dozier was extended. I think he's gone though, or as far as having to pay him.
If not, he's at least irrelevant.
Yep. Let's go into our Eastwood segment.
Yep, the good, bad, and the ugly.
All right. So Spennis, I know you've been scratching at the bit about this one for the good. What do you got, man?
The good is in the Beltway once again. And the good is involving the Baltimore Orioles. They were sold for $1.7 billion to a group that has involvement with Cal Ripken Jr. So a major icon of the Orioles will now has a stake in the team, and it was sold for $1.725 billion to Baltimore native philanthropist and investor David Rubenstein was the main person behind the group. But Cal Ripken Jr. was a part of the group. And then And then, now, 2 days later, the Orioles then get their ace of the rotation in trading for Corbin Burns. And this Corbin Burns trade, where the Orioles got an A according to CBS, and ESPN even gave the Orioles an A++ for the deal. And what the Orioles did is that they gave away Corbin Burns for Joey Ortiz, DL Hall, and the 34th overall draft pick. And I think for the Orioles, the Orioles have been known for not spending money. They've had an amazing farm system. They've built stuff from the ground up. They let go of a prospect in Ortiz, where for him to even get up into the major leagues, he was stuck behind a logjam at shortstop. He was behind Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday. They could have also made a trade for Dylan Cease at the White Sox without emptying their coffers on high quality position player prospects. But Dylan Cease, there are a couple of things that kind of were a little different. Cease is a little younger, so that would have been the case. But you get a former Cy Young Award winner in Corbin Burns. Has been one of the best starters of the decade. He basically has trailed in ERA plus, only trailing Max Fried, Clayton Kershaw, and Brandon Woodruff, his fellow teammate. Won the 2021 Cy Young Award winner and has finished 8th or better in three other seasons, speaking to his quality and consistency. So Corbin Burns is now going to bring this to Baltimore. Baltimore has not had this type of pitcher that is really, truly an ace of the rotation, at least since Mike Mussina.
Dan Herron didn't play for the Orioles, did he?
You said which one?
Dan Herron.
Dan Herron. Not famously, anyway. If that makes any sense at all. Dan Herron was a Cardinal, an A Diamondback, an Angel, a National, a Dodger, a Marlin, and a Cub.
Yeah, he wasn't an Oriole. Damn. For some reason, I thought he was.
Dan Herron was never an Oriole.
Man, now I'm sad.
But that ultimately just made the Orioles a little scarier in terms of the rotation. And the Orioles had been super quiet this offseason until that. And I guess that was why they were so quiet, because all of a sudden their silence led to one bold move. And believe me, we heard it clear and loud.
Man, I can already feel the burn. Sorry. I had to say it. My bad dad jokes.
It wasn't so much that was like a dad joke placement. It's just it was a little like
a moment of silence for my crappy joke.
It was like, what did that really have to do with
A moment of
what was
silence for
going-
my crappy joke. Alright, let's keep going here.
Okay. The not so good this week. Though there's some good involved with it because he's giving away the ring to the fired coach, he's giving away the bonus check. It is Doc Rivers being named the NBA All-Star Game coach for the Eastern Conference. And the main reason why he had to take it is because Joe Mazzulla could not take it. Because he coached it last year. So this should set a new precedent for who is coaching the All-Star Game in the NBA. Or at least this should cause something different to happen. And even Doc Rivers is just like, this is ridiculously bad. Like, if even Doc Rivers is criticizing it, you know it's bad. And then the downright ugly, we're going to go ahead and split this one here, Ruckus. And I will let you start with the more iconic one out of the two that unfortunately passed away this week.
Yep, so rest in peace to Mr. Apollo Creed. Also, a character in Chubbs Peters and Happy Gilmore, with the fake hand. But most importantly, a actor that also played football for the Raiders, and also is deep in our hearts. But also, he was a great supporting actor for a show in The Mandalorian and many other things. And I think he was even recently in a commercial, and it was for the Gronk. I think it was for the Kick of Destiny.
Well, Dylan and Predator. It was also Dylan and Predator.
Yep. Alright, Spanish.
But then the second passing, more so for a little bit of a longer career than Weathers had in the NFL as an Oakland Raider. We had the passing away of Richard Castor, who played wide receiver for the New York Jets for a good bit of time, was also known for an epic battle between Namath and Unitas in the 70s, after Namath had the guarantee. But the legacy that Castor leaves behind is through his son. He is the father of Platinum Max Castor of All Elite Wrestling, is 1/3 of the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn, and 1/7, including the injured Juice Robinson, as a part of what is known as the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Yes, you heard that right. It is a side faction of the famous New Japan wrestling group called the Bullet Club.
And that is because... surprised I didn't hear about that in Japan.
Yeah. Wait, the Bullet Club?
Yeah, I never been talked to about it with anybody.
Like New Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, it would have been New Japan Pro Wrestling, but if you had seen the shirts with like the skull and the machine guns and.
Oh, I didn't see that. Weird.
Yeah, but it is. But you also would see on the shirt there one called Bullet Club. It was known for basically having international heels coming into Japanese pro wrestling and causing havoc. Kenny Omega was a part of that. The Young Bucks, as far as guys that are now that have now transitioned back over to the state side. Jay White, who is a New Zealand, and he is the leader of Bullet Club Gold, which is the all elite wrestling side of it. But with Max Caster and all the Billy Gunn's sons are a part of Bullet Club Gold, and this Bang Bang Scissor Gang actually allowed the two sons to reunite with their father, which was kind of a big piece of it. But I like how at least I can bring that element into this.
Yeah. All right.
But now that we kind of left this on a somber note, we now can move over to the film room, where it is now back and forth. It has been back and forth, heading into the final week of the football season, and I hold a 6-point lead. And this is a very, very critical week. Because not only are there ways for us to earn points, but there are ways that we can lose points this week.
Yep.
So we wanted to kind of make this last week full of a bunch of twists, a bunch of turns, and we very well may have done it. And the first question here, straight up, who we taking? This is for 10 points.
Dude, I feel like this is a really, 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 really dumb question to ask your co-host when you know your boy is a Chiefs fan. So how about those Chiefs, man? I think they're going to win. That's what HBTC stands for, by the way, if you didn't know. No
Going
cap.
to say that the third time is going to be the charm. Al Shanahan choked away 28-3 and choked away Dan Quinn winning a Super Bowl and Atlanta getting their first one by choosing not to run the football. Al Shanahan has lost to the Chiefs before after having a lead. I believe that 49ers defense will be able to secondary-wise apply the pressure that they need to and force Patrick Mahomes into mistakes. That is, if the wide receivers do not make them for him. I am taking the 49ers in this one.
Someone looks like
But
they're about to
against the
lose 10 points.
Against the spread. Oh, no. This one is just a straight 10. A straight 10, no loss.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, no, this is not one where we lose points. That one is not one we lose points. We do not lose points on against the spread, and we do not lose points on over-under. Oh, actually, we do lose for over-under. We do lose for over-under.
Yeah, quit fibbing, Spanish.
We lose 2 for over-under. Yeah, I forgot that we did that. But the spread. It says, according to ESPN betting, it is at San Francisco -1.5. Do we still hold with San Francisco being 1.5 point favorites with our positioning?
I think they're going to be an underdog no matter what. So, if I want to be in favor of the Chiefs, do I pick the 49ers for this?
No. Actually, if you're going to be in favor of the Chiefs are it's almost a pick 'em at this point. But
okay.
But if San Francisco wins by 1 point, the Chiefs win.
All right.
If San Francisco wins by 1 point, the Chiefs win. If
Alright,
San
well-
Francisco wins by 2 points, the 49ers win. And the over-under is set at 47.5.
For points total.
This is total points over-under, yes.
These are two defensive juggernauts, so I'm gonna say under.
I think
Under
there's going to be a
47.
good amount of give that is going to come out of this. And that give, I think, is going to make this what I feel probably one of those 27, 24, 30 to 27 kind of like games. I am going to say over 47.5. I think there's going to be a little bit more give.
Is it
when it
actually
comes to that.
47.5?
Yes.
Okay, I was just double checking for my
Yep.
sake.
All right. Anytime touchdown scores. Do you have a particular one anytime touchdown score that you're going to have? You get 2 if you get it, but you lose 2 if you don't.
Let me just get one player.
Yep,
Okay.
1 player. I am taking Christian McCaffrey because it seems like no matter where, he always seems to get one.
I'm gonna go with Pacheco, or that's at least what Andy Reid likes to call him. It's Pacheco.
Isaiah Pacheco. Interesting.
Thank you.
Our halftime show this year is with Usher.
What?
We get to pick 3 songs that we believe that will be performed during his halftime set. You get a point for each one that does play, but you lose 1 for each one that doesn't. We both have mutually chosen the song "Yeah" from 2003.
That's your free space bingo card right there. If he doesn't
it,
play,
it basically
then...
is a free space. But we both have chosen 2 different songs for our other 2 slots.
So the one that I have, or one of them I have, is more of a recent one from 2014. Which, yes, that's been like 10 years ago now, but it was called "Without You," and it was a collaboration between Usher and David Guetta, which is a EDM artist. And then,
Yep.
a very famous song that Usher has is "Love in This Club." And today I was listening to a John Oliver video where they had some animatronics actually restored to play in this club. And it was really actually hilarious. If you want to check it out, it's on Last Week Tonight on YouTube. But yeah, enough plugging.
All right. I am taking the other 2 that I had. I went back to the same era as "Yeah" for the first one. And that is a big single known as "Burn." I took "Burn," but then I fast forwarded it another 7 years to OMG, pretty much "Oh My God," as the other song. So I went with one that was a little more up and one that was a little more down as far as tempo. Because you know that Usher's gonna, with his R&B, he's not gonna be playing all of his stuff where he's gonna be gliding around the floor. He's gonna slow it down a little bit. And I think that "Burn" is probably the biggest single that he could pull out that kind of fits this category. And the question now with this halftime show is that will he have a special guest or any sort of surprise special guest? +2 if you get it correct, -1 if you don't. In this case, Ruckus, You are predicting 2 different special guests.
So I get -1 for each.
If you just were to say, you would lose 1 for each if there were none. If you just said yes, he's going to have a special guest. If you didn't get it, you would just lose 1. So your
So should I
your
say
specifics
yes?
are kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I was gonna say.
No. I got it.
Yep.
I was just gonna put yeah and then put who I thought. So I put yeah and then I put Little John and will.i.am. I don't know if will.i.am will get it, but I'm hoping
Yep.
he has a guest. Usually they don't tell
Okay,
you until later.
so I am going to put those in parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
If the special guest, I will give you the special condition. If the special guest is not, if there is a special guest, but it is neither Lil Jon or will.i.am, you will get nothing for that.
I'm willing to take that gamble. I mean, it is
Yes.
Vegas after
You're
all.
gonna get 2 points. So you're getting 2 points regardless. If there is a special guest. If the special guest is Lil Jon or will.i.am, you're just getting 2 points. But if there is a special guest that is neither Lil Jon or will.i.am, so say maybe he plays My Boo and it's Alicia Keys, I would just lose 1 point and you just would get nothing. Because your special guest prediction is going to wash it out.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
So the Gronk kick of destiny. I have Gronk misses.
I had my smart ass remark of House always wins, and I think he misses again too. I don't
Which
even
probably
think they
means
show
that
it.
which probably means that Gronk is gonna miss.
Here's the thing: last year they hyped it up so much because like this was the peak of advertising for sports betting. Literally, they had him kick, but then he didn't even get to see the result. So it's like, what the hell?
or the result is so far out that it really wasn't all that definitive.
Because they didn't show it. Anyways, so I put no, he misses.
Yeah, I ultimately am going to say that FanDuel is going to say he missed it.
House always wins. All right,
The-
MVP.
The over-under on the alcohol commercials.
We skipped over MVP position.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. All right.
Over on the alcohol commercials, I put under because I feel like if anything, they're gonna try to go for avocados from Mexico, a car ad, a possible Tide ad. There could also be more car ads because what I've seen more recently with their with their teasers is car ads, food ads, and detergent ads and stuff like that. I haven't seen a single damn one for Budweiser yet, but I'm sure I'm just
but that's because Budweiser. That is because Budweiser and all these beer commercials, so Bud, Miller, Coors, they're keeping all that in the holster, ready to fire whenever those come out.
Yeah, but usually, like the past couple of years, they've had teasers that are like, "Oh, we're gonna hype this up so you actually watch the Super Bowl," and then there wasn't like a whole lot, so that's why I'm going under.
Okay,
I feel like
I'm taking the over because it's gonna saturate itself, and the question here is, when do we start counting? When would you want to start counting? Are we starting from as soon as Super Bowl coverage begins, which is pretty much going to be about from 6 p.m. forward? So pretty much as soon as they're doing like all of their say I think it's Nance and Romo. As soon as Nance and Romo are doing their pregame talk, is when we start counting beer commercials, or are we gonna even do that including the NFL today?
are they new commercials?
What, you talking the beer commercials? Or are we
Yeah,
talking
like
specific?
are they new commercials just in general as a whole? Because if it's just the same old recycled crap that we've seen, then I wouldn't count it. But if it's like legitimate, like new commercials, sure. But I don't want to sound like I'm trying to get out of a sticky situation or anything like that. I just
Oh,
want to play it.
so basically, so if they, so let's see, you have X beer ad appear in the first quarter, but then X beer ad, because of how they spent the money, how the company spent the money, X beer
to
ad repeats in repeats or gets rerun in the third quarter.
I
You're saying that's
mean,
one. You're saying
it's
that's one.
you know what? Screw it. I don't care. Sure. I think in general, it's just
Oh no, I was saying that I was kind of asking it in a question.
um
So if it rerun if the same ad reruns, it more so would depend on how it was spent.
um
But if
let's just stick to the first time it airs. That way, it's. I mean,
yep.
yeah, I'll be a little bit fairer, but I feel like either way, I'm probably gonna be.
Oh, then I will change. Then I will change to the under simply because reruns reruns for commercials always seem to find their way into a football game.
Especially near the end of the game.
Yep,
All
they're
right,
gonna run out
over.
of. All right, so these next three are all based on, well, two out of the three are based on averages for the player throughout the season, and the other's a little special. But the first one here is over or under 261 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. So over his passing average for the per game for the season.
I'm gonna do under because I think he's going to. If he does anything, it's probably gonna be near the end of the game where he gets the big yardage, but or at least tries to throw the short passes because when Mahomes plays against secondaries, like really strong ones like the 49ers, the Jets, and whatnot, he gets picked off pretty easily. So I would say he tries to get Pacheco in there more. So I'm going to say under.
I too am also going to say under because San Francisco defense does like to give fits.
And if you remember 4 years ago when we faced the 49ers at Hard Rock, it was pretty much like every other play, or not even every other play, but there were a couple times where we got intercepted because people were dropping the ball, which is happening now, but not as much as it was, but still. All right, let's
Yep. And
keep
then
rolling.
for Christian McCaffrey, I am going to say over.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Uh,
over too because our running defense isn't like 100% great, but
Zone running defense, which is what the Niners do, the Chiefs are not as great against as opposed to some of the power runs and other
plus
types.
overall, I think he's gonna run his ass off. Over under 13 receptions and
13
TDs.
reception combined 13 receptions and touchdown. So, receptions plus touchdowns. Is
I
that
think he
going to
has.
be over or under 13?
I
And
think
this
he's
is the
gonna have a
Taylor Swift
game.
question.
I think
I
he's
am
gonna
going to
have an over.
I am going to say that I think he is going, even though they will find ways to get him early and often in in the game, I am taking the under on it. I am actually thinking that the final combined total is going to be maybe at about a 10 or an 11, not a 13. our fantasy team playoff challenge. I had to make more changes because the Lions decided to lose. So I will be running. Ruckus's only change is that you had to go with Noah Gray for your flex. I had to go Brock Purdy for substituting out for Jared Goff. Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Marquez. Sorry.
Marquez. What? MVS is kind of in short. In short, what I wrote down. And he will be taking on Rashee Rice as a replacement for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Replacing Sam Laporta, I have George Kittle. Replacing my flex option of David Montgomery, I have Kyle Juszczyk. And I still will have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Jake Moody, and the 49ers defense. And now we get to our main Super Bowl related item of the piece. And we are tier listing particular different things, ranging from commentators to some halftime shows to even some pieces of food and small little commercial elements. And we will start with a particular play, and here are the tiers that we will have. We will have S, A, B, C, D, and F. S is the highest, F is the worst. The David Tyree helmet catch.
I'll give it a B.
I'm actually going to... I almost want to give it a little bit higher just simply because of the elements of the play. And so many what-ifs with that. Had Richard Seymour been able to hang on to Eli Manning to be able to sack him? Had Rodney Harrison been able to actually get possession of the ball a little bit sooner and have that be an interception instead of a catch? There was so much that the Patriots could have done to end up having, like, had it gone the other way. I honestly think it's A tier. I think that the elements working out just right and Eli Manning getting his first Super Bowl out of it, I think it's an A tier if we're... Or it should be up to A.
Sure.
All right. The next one, Super Bowl 34. The finish, Kevin Dyson being tackled 1 yard short and preventing the Titans from winning their first Super Bowl, but the Rams get theirs.
I would say A.
I agree that is an A tier. That game ultimately was probably one of the best Super Bowls ever played. I also am in that Super Bowl 42. I am in a belief that one is the greatest Super Bowl ever played. And 34 ranks very, very highly up there, as it just came down to 1 yard for Steve McNair to get a ring as opposed to Kurt Warner. That I'm gonna give it an A tier for that reason.
Yeah.
The Prince halftime show at Super Bowl 41, where he's doing purple in the rain.
I'm gonna say A plus.
Or you're gonna give it the S? I will
Yeah,
I will agree with you and say that's S. Yeah. Yeah, the A plus. Yeah, A plus is S in this case.
Okay.
All right. The next one, the Christina Aguilera national anthem. I think we all know.
Yeah.
I think we all know.
Crocker
I think
is
we
just
all
gonna
know.
get a stamp that he puts on her forehead that just says F. Anyways, move
Yep.
along. Nothing to see here.
Yep. Nothing to see. Tostitos with salsa or queso.
That is A tier. My salsa choice is the margaritas mild salsa from a local chain called Margaritas.
I just am I'm more of a queso guy, so that's why I kind of put them both in there. But I'm more of a queso guy,
Okay.
and as long as that queso, I don't mind yellow. I don't mind yellow cheese, but there is something about that queso with white and a little bit of mild pepper in it that just hits different.
As long
It
as it's
hit.
not chipotle queso, which is just chalk.
Oh no. If you're talking chain queso, if you're talking like the chain queso, you go to Moe's. You go to Moe's for that queso.
Yeah, chipotle queso is more just chalk with extra steps.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go to our first commentator, Joe Buck. You know where I stand on this guy.
How about, to be fair, let's do C?
I honestly want to give him D tier, but
No. Give him C because he's done some iconic stuff, and yes, just because you hate the man does not mean you have to freaking beat him to death.
If I would have, I wasn't going to give him an F.
I know. I'm
D.
not a huge fan of Joe Buck either, but I also just don't get like the whole negativity towards him. But I would rather have Al Michaels or
Calling a Super Bowl, yes. Al Michaels is generally in his prime. Al Michaels is the guy. Other than probably maybe Pat Summerall or Kevin Harlan. At
yes.
least at this point. Yeah, those are generally the big names you would want. You would want
Alright.
more than Joe Buck. The Coldplay halftime show in Super Bowl 50, where he had the feature with Beyonce and Bruno Mars.
That one I'm gonna say is B tier.
I gotta go lower, and here's the reason why. If it was just Coldplay alone, it was much more tolerable. To me, I think that the elements involving Bruno Mars and Beyonce were just a bit too far out of place. Especially the Beyonce.
I was going to say, are you a Beyonce hater right now?
No. I am not a hater of Beyonce. I just think that for that specific halftime show, that Beyonce just did not fit properly. That is why I will give that a C tier. It just did not. It wasn't cohesive.
All right.
And you've known me to kind of talk about stuff being cohesive and have synergies. Like, you want stuff to kind of look like it works well together.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't fit. Thick crust pizza.
I'm gonna say that is A tier.
I am on the A tier as well with that.
Dude,
as well.
my favorite thick crust is Papa John's because I just love the taste of like the sweet taste of the crust.
And also talking with thick crust, you also can go with the stuffed crust with the cheese inside, especially if it's done right. It is it is solid. It is an A tier. It is an A tier piece, but for me, the thin and crispy, that is S tier.
I ain't gonna knock it, but I wouldn't put it at S tier in my opinion. I'm more of a thick crust, but it is what it is.
But we can kind of find a middle ground and call that probably an A or a B.
Make it an S tier, dog.
Like, more so, I'm talking like the thin crust. Like, you have the thin, like it's thin, like it's thinner, but it's thinner, but it's not like flopping around. It's not like flopping around like a
right. It's not like a Neapolitan. It's just straight up like cut into squares.
Yeah, there's that. But I'm saying, like, even if you were to do like just the standard slices on it,
yeah,
like I would want my thin crust pizza to have at least a little bit of like firmness to it, like to have a little bit of that healthy crunch, like that healthy crunch on the outside, but it still feels soft enough on the inside but it feels like it holds together.
All right.
The John Elway helicopter, where he's trying to dive and gets spun around.
I'm gonna say
This is the play. This is the play that led to. Yeah, I think it's a B tier. It led to the Broncos winning Super Bowl 32. John Madden,
S tier.
God rest his soul, S tier.
Al Michaels, A tier.
Yes, Al Michaels will be A tier.
And then the anthems to finish it off, Stapleton and Houston. I think those are both A's.
Yep.
The Bruno Mars Red Hot Chili Pepper show, that one's a S tier.
That is an S tier, and I will give the Dr. Dre one also an S.
No. That's an A.
You're gonna go A, and then chicken wings. As long as they're done well, they are S tier. It does not matter if it is a drum. It does not matter. It is a flat. As long as it is sauce to the point that I know that for me, I am a barbecue wing guy, but if I have to go with the buffalo, I gotta go with the mild that is not overkill. And the Philly special, how often do you have a quarterback catching the ball? I think that's an A tier.
Yeah, and then the Malcolm
interception on Russ led to the incredibly stupid Rob Lowe memes, because it was right around the time when Rob Lowe was doing the DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket commercial. B tier. B tier just simply because it led to the memes.
Alright, now we'll get into our stud and dud.
Yep.
I'll go first. So, my stud this week is the Watt Brothers rocking a new cover of On a Box of Wheaties. So it'll be it's the first time ever that two brothers have been on the cover of Wheaties at the same time. JJ Watt joked on Twitter about how Apple was trying super hard with these Vision Pro ads, because when you look at the cover, it almost looks like the Black Swan kind of look to it in a sense. But I can see what they're going with the Vision Pro headset, because it kind of does. But if you look at, if you look it up, yeah, it goes for itself. Anyways, and then
that cover looked dope though. Like, that box does look dope though.
And then the dud for the week is Pat Mahomes, the father of Patrick LaVon Mahomes, arrested on his third DWI charge and can serve up to 2 to 10 years in prison. I don't think he actually serves the time. I think he pleads for a lot of community service, and that's about it. I don't think he goes to jail. And if he does, it's maybe house arrest or something like that.
Yeah, or at least he'll be out on bail for the Super Bowl for sure. But
Probably
I
already
have
is.
two very special studs. But my dud involves something I talked about earlier with Cliff Kingsbury, and the dud is the news reporting and revealing initially that it's like, oh, he's going to be the Raiders' offensive coordinator. Day later, Kingsbury says, nope, I am not taking that job, and then ends up going to sign with the Commanders. Stephen A. Smith has bombastically gone scorched earth on talking about Cliff Kingsbury coming to DC. He went scorched earth on Dan Quinn coming to DC, just simply because Stephen A. just says that almost like no coach was the right fit for some odd reason. But you know how they all know that Stephen A. is one that does so much, like, trying to say that some, like, but I mean, granted, the Rooney Rule exists, but the Rooney Rule had been followed. But I think that there was so much that the Commanders needed to improve. It ultimately, even though we have a defensive coach trying to groom a young quarterback, we've got a coach in the offensive coordinator that has been known for being able to do well with young quarterbacks. But Kingsbury does make me nervous, especially because there is the scary potential of us ending up with drafting Caleb Williams. God, I hope we don't. I hope we trade down and get out of that and trust the young quarterback we do have. But my honorable mention for my stud goes to Knicks guard Jalen Brunson. Took an incidental palm to the face with no foul call. Was down for 35 seconds. Got up, sat on the bench for a little bit as Tom Thibodeau called his last time out. And got a clutch and one on the very next play. And the Knicks took a victory over the Pacers. Just toughness out of an NBA All-Star. But my main stud goes to Ravens tight end Mark Andrews for providing aid to a woman in distress on a Southwest flight from Baltimore to Phoenix, offering a diabetic test kit as she was dealing with a mid-flight medical emergency. Andrews is a type 1 diabetic himself, has done some things in the past involving type 1 diabetes for people in the stands at games at times. And after instructing the medical professionals on how to use his test kit, the condition stabilized. And once the plane landed, absolutely no fanfare for Mark Andrews at all, just because Mark Andrews is one not known for really being in that fanfare spotlight, which kind of makes me respect him even more. Granted that, yeah, we have Travis Kelce, who is the all master of charisma.
Well,
George
you also have Clyde
you have George Kittle, who is
nursing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going for a nursing degree, and Duvernay Tardif, the former guard, is a nurse from Canada. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, but where I was talking more in just NFL tight ends, where it's like, oh, Kelsey's the charismatic tight end. George Kittle's the kid at heart. T.J. Hawkinson's the fierce competitor. But then you get Mark Andrews, who's kind of the quiet hero. A very quiet hero. And can kind of just ride off into a sunset and deplane without anybody having a fanfare of like, oh my god, like he needs some sort of like recognition or anything. It's like, he don't need it. So I'm just glad that we as an NFL fan base have, or just overall as NFL fans have, tight ends with different personalities that people can aspire to look up to. And different personalities in players and people. I just was talking about it from an NFL tight end perspective, not just in like the nursing perspective. But Ruckus, go ahead and take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. This is a Ruckus and The Menace Sports production. Thank you, as always, for listening. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win Super Bowl 58. Also, who do you think is going to win in the finale of the film room? I think it'll probably be me, but most.
Go Niners!
But yeah, thank you for listening. Leave a like and comment, whatever. Have a good one.
Yep, deuce.